Hello and welcome to the Foxcatcher Review. My name's Julian Valens, joined in studio, fit as a fiddle, no doubt, Clint Hutchison from racing.com. How are you, mate? How was the weekend?
Not fit as a fiddle, but I'm here. There's a pulse. We're going. It was a tough weekend, to be honest. There wasn't a lot of results, a lot of seconds, including even the Storm last night. Another second. But no, look, there's a lot of talking points out of the meeting anyway. I mean, the Turnbull had all these big names going towards all the features, really, for the remainder of the spring, and there's something to touch on with each one of them.
Yep. Just quickly, thanks for your participation at the Osborne. You were there, Foxcatcher event. Thank you to all the people out there as well that decided to come with us on the journey. It was a lot of fun, and hopefully we'll be able to do it again once we recover. So in about 2048, we should be right to do it again. But thank you from the bottom of my heart. It was outstanding. Let's get to this track, mate. Out 9 metres, entire circuit, Flemington. Good four throughout. I think it raced as predicted in terms of the bookends struggled a little bit. I know Miraval Rose led and won, but I think they probably struggled a little bit. I do want to touch on these sprint races, and I just want to touch on this outside lane sort of area. It seemed to be proper cement going good, didn't it?
Well, I think the whole meeting they were running some fast times in some other races as well, just those closing sectionals. So might have been a 4, but they were running some quick times, some slick times. Lanes 20 to 26, that's where all that seemed to be the best spot down the straight, didn't it? Those wider lanes. So they were running some seriously good times down the straight as well. I haven't checked this.
We're going to talk about this. This is going to be a little bit of touch and feel for the punter going forward, because it's whether you want to trust, probably in particular, the race 6, the Danehill Stakes with McGaw, which we'll get to shortly. They've gone like Learjets.
Yeah.
And it's My Gladiola and McGaw in particular who probably hit that spot. And then you got later in the day in the Gilgai, you had War Machine. But I mean, it was backed as if he was going to do something like that. And we've seen him before. He's a Group 1 winner. Just whether you want to trust this entirely.
Well, they're well enough exposed prior to it, weren't they? And I think that's in the back of the mind. So it's not like, we're just seeing something unleashed out of nowhere. But look, I think definitely you had to sort of temper those performances that were in those outside lanes a fraction.
Yeah. Let's start. This one was around the circle. This is an interesting race because spoke about this on the preview on Thursday, was that there was no speed in this race. We know On Display was really heavily supported, but it's ended up mapping a long way back. Miraval Rose looked the horse that probably had to end up finding the lead just because for no other reason by default. They've gone a third of a second inside standard time. In terms of circle races, always split off the straight and the circle, keep them separate. It's come home pretty good compared to the rest of those circle races. Race has gone really well, but I feel like right spot, right time, Miraval Rose with the way the map was.
Absolutely, and I think the way the race was run, and she's handy, and what she's always going to have the advantage of is that ability to take a position, whereas On Display, I don't think On Display needs to be that far back. We saw at the previous start, 3 back fence, but probably needs to draw a gate.
But here's my point. This is a great. You just mentioned it. Needs to draw a gate, and then last time it does draw a gate, and it gets hemmed up along the inside, and everyone was saying how gate 8 is just beautiful now to get to the outside, but the way the map was, it was just far too back. Too far back to get into the race at all.
Yeah, he would have been better off probably being the old wide no cover, just but 2 lengths off them.
Yeah. So race has gone good. This race up the straight, which he sort of touched on, has gone absolutely gigantic. Winner McGaw, the Danehill Stakes, 1 1/4 inside standard time. Now they've just come home last 400, 200 monstrous, 11:07 sort of for the winner. Pretty good field size as well. McGaw beats My Gladiola. They're out into that spot, which we just think might have been just some insane sort of bizarro stuff.
Well, interestingly, going back a few months, even on a wet track, we did have She's an Artist run very good time that day, remember?
Yep.
Similar sort of lanes. Yep. Just something to bear in mind anyway, because obviously she's gone well since, but not up to that level.
Correct.
And that's what you got to sort of weigh up.
So is this now the outlier for McGaw? Because we've got to sum this up, because this number puts this horse and My Gladiola as well, who just got beaten, right into the Coolmore picture.
Definitely. And I think with McGaw, I think he is one of those horses, he in terms of just his manners and his racing manners, like I think letting him roll along a bit probably helped, because he used to do a few little things wrong. So maybe that's the way to ride him.
He was sort of out there by himself there for a little bit. I know my Gladiola came up later and sort of looked the winner, but then it fought back again, Magor, to win it. But it was out there doing it by itself, wasn't it, really?
Totally.
It was a big performance. It's just now up to each individual analyst or punter to go, all right, do I fully want to bet sold into this? I won't be. But I'm not completely bidding it either because the number's the number.
Yeah, you still got to trust it to an extent, don't you? I mean, he's still run that good
Yeah.
time. And he's still an improving horse. Like I said, mentally, I don't think he was there. But they may have learned something with Magor. And I wouldn't give up on my Gladiola either.
She was great.
Yeah, she was fantastic. And she's racing really well.
I think we're finding now with my Gladiola, she's doing a bunch of numbers that are all pretty similar.
Yeah.
And I think that's a bit different to a couple of these other 3-year-olds that we might see in the Coolmore or might now drop off, is that they seem to do a number, but then they regress. And it's not that consistent, whereas she now seems to be just doing a good coupling of
so 1, 2, okay.
Numbers.
The rest are we?
I think so, and I think there was a couple of failures. I think Rosberg had an issue or something. It's gone to the paddock.
Blame,
but horses like Tycoon Star and those kinds of horses, like
the writing was on the wall a bit before the other day, wasn't it? And it's sort of like, where are we at now? And although the exception of that. Could be legacy bound, I suppose, but I'm not sure.
Yeah,
are they talking cool? I mean,
I'm assuming that's where they all go.
They kind of have to go there.
Yeah,
now.
I think that's where that's the dream. Let's get to the Turnbull Stakes now. This is going to be interesting chat here because I just don't have this race going enormous, but but this horse is showing when we talk about a lot of things in terms of variables in racing. He's doing one thing that should always be probably A when you look at stuff, and he puts himself into a high percentage play with his ability to be able to put himself on speed.
Absolutely, so Delius. Yeah, it was. Look, he got a nice run through. It did a little bit of work early, I suppose. But yeah, he can take up a position and then he can quicken off it. I was surprised that the sort of last 600 wasn't a little bit stronger, given that the pressure wasn't really there early. I mean, I've got a question for you. Where's Via Sistina's sort of strong finishing burst gone?
Yeah. I mean, we spoke about it in the Mackay and was saying, I thought the writing was on the wall after the Mackay because it was a slowly run race and the narrative came out that she doesn't perform in slowly run races, and I was sick of hearing that because I've seen her do it before.
Yeah.
And so it came down to me then to think, well, is she just not going as well as what she was? She is now an aging 8-year-old mare or something like that. Maybe that's the impact. I don't know. I thought he maybe trained the wheels off her leading up to the Mackay, so I thought this would be her moment. I thought she presented in a position to win the race, and she wasn't good enough.
No, she wasn't. So does she need a fast race?
Well, that's the theory. But so here's the thing. Sir Delius probably can do it no matter what. And when you go into a race and you're going, okay, well, now we're starting, when you're taking, 250, 260 about Via Sistina, you need more factors than that, than just it needs a really fastly run race. Now, the Cox Plate might be a fast run race, and we know it goes back to the scene of a crime where she went to this amazing number that's now becoming the outlier. I wonder if she'll do 4 laps.
Does she need to throw J-Mac off again?
Yeah, exactly. I know. He should wear extra
replicate
padding,
that, please?
Extra padding on the Breakfast with the Stars, because that's just what happened. So, jury's out big time. I thought the jury was out after the Maccabi. I was off her, but I couldn't back her off that in a Cox Plate, and she might get back to that number, and that's where the market's probably going to keep pinning.
It was disappointing when you look at the starting price, but it wasn't bad enough where you're looking at the race going, well, I'm not following you again. Now it's a price thing, so I suppose it's sort of okay. Well, what price are we going to get?
Wasn't she?
She was okay.
Yeah,
that was it.
What about Aeliana?
Well, I wasn't as big on her as a few others, but I was very respectful of her because she had the same form. She was running right alongside of Via, and I think she's a mile and a half.
Yeah, it's just like again on Saturday she was sort of flat, and then the last 50 you're like, oh, it was okay again going through the line, and you go, she's screaming out for a mile and a half.
But the issue with her is that the run of the race, I thought, was half yours. Who is going to a Caulfield Cup, and is it 51 and a half?
52 and a half. So 51's the minimum, and she gets the kilo and a half for the naturalism. Yeah, so he goes to 52 and a half. And
I know you've been on that train for a while, and after that run prior, I was like, good luck trying to beat to half yours. And after, I wasn't disheartened with what I saw there in the Turnbull. I mean, that was a great run.
Yeah, Connections would be really happy, weren't they? I mean, it felt like it was the run for a Caulfield Cup. They probably could have, I think, when you see that barrier, and I thought they would have ended up probably in the 1-1. They didn't. They went that further few pairs back. Yeah. And it was the run of sort of a coming horse that's going to be really hard to beat.
Absolutely. If they had gone back with Via and she closed off like that, I'd be going, all systems go. Let's go. Let's rip Cox Plate. Here we come.
Yeah.
That's what was a bit disappointing.
Yeah.
Aeliana, where do they – they're still –
Well, the narrative still is we're going to the Cox Plate, but off that one, I mean, because Via Sistina's got the number there, you can't say she can't win a Cox Plate.
Yeah.
But off that run, I'm like, Aeliana, I don't think you can beat them. I don't think you can beat Sir Delius and Via Sistina and all that. No, you're not. I don't think so. So fascinated to see what they do with it.
And with Sir Delius, can Sir Delius, do you think, do the Cox Plate?
I think because of the ability to put himself on speed, and a few of these others don't have that capability, then he's right in the mix. I think he'll be suited to Moonee Valley. I think, and it's just a perfect lead up to still like the Melbourne Cup, which is obviously their ultimate goal. Very quickly, the last race that's gone good. It's race 9. It's War Machine's race. He was first up. Market just hammers this horse well inside standard time. Again, 400, 200, similar to the Danehill, 11:11. Again, gets to that right spot. But I was watching it with someone at the Osborne. I'm not sure. It could have been anyone. It could have been just a green goblin for all I know. Yeah. But at about
don't get me to try and help you.
After the 400, you just saw it. Blake Shin was just stalking them, and you're like,
how far?
How far? Yes. And I know he hasn't won by a long way, but it was just like he's going to monster
So he now gets the call up in the Everest, and he's probably a better chance than a few of the others that are sort of hanging around.
I think so. It's a big number. Yeah. It's a big number. But this is the thing. I was like, that's the perfect run, and you go, he goes into your black books and all this, but now you can get busted because you're taking on possibly an international superstar in Kaying Rising. But he deserves his slot in terms of if you want the 12 best sprinters at that moment of time, he definitely deserves his spot in the Everest.
100%. Of course, we saw another Aussie sprinter in Asfoora win on the weekend too. So shows how good the Aussie sprinters are, doesn't it?
Absolutely. We'll be back. All right, Hutch, we've talked about the races we really liked. The race, look, again, overall the day, there's nothing here that's gone horribly. So we're putting this into perspective here. But race 7 was the Bart Cummings. There's a bit to talk about here probably. We'll have the replays of these races as well as we talk. But Valiant King wins the race. They've gone slightly inside standard time. The last 400, 200 junk compared to the rest of the day, but that's what usually happens in staying races anyway. The winner has come home, 12.66 field. The winner comes home 12.03. So outstrips the field by far. But I think the talking point here is that Gilded Water just got a hold of Jamie Mellon.
Yeah, and you pointed this out quite rightly, didn't you, with regard to just being a little bit cautious with Zara having ridden it the time before and being, a good booking for this horse. And I don't think many would have anticipated that. Nothing much Jamie could do, horse.
Yeah, just took a hold of
her. Took a hold of her.
And as I said, I sort of was worried about it going in, but I still just trusted Jamie's hands and obviously had some strong
She normally gets them to settle so well, and then halfway through the worst fears came to light.
Yeah, it was just getting further and further
away. Yeah.
But that last
what a run to run third, though.
Well, and this is the other thing about it is that just quickly, it was an enormous performance to finish third. And so now the key thing is they're probably connections of the King obviously would be heavily invested in this and where they go to now would probably been very thinking, well, we've still got to get to the Melbourne Cup. Yeah. So there's still options to get to the Melbourne Cup. The problem is the horse probably hasn't woken up from its slumber yet from what it had to do on Saturday, so or what it caused itself to do. So maybe the Geelong Cup or Bendigo Cup.
He wasn't the Osborne, so he should be fine.
No, he should be fine. Yeah, exactly.
Although
I could have been seeing
Geelong
horses
Cup they're going. Geelong Cup.
Yes. So, if it can, exactly. I mean, it's big performance. But overall, the race, only marginal. I put it this way. Would you back Valiant King in a Melbourne Cup?
I wouldn't, but I'd be backing Gilded Water in a Geelong Cup.
Yep. I think that's probably fair. If he can get over that and is in the right camp to get over that.
He'll be fun.
Hits and misses quickly from the PointsBet trading floor here, Hutch. Horses that were well backed, what do we want to do with them? Do we want to continue to have them in our back pocket, or do we just say, this was your moment? Race 1, Stolly Bolly, $4.60 into $3.40. I know I got both of ours. Ran really well. But and here's the thing. If it draws 16, it's probably the winner, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so. It's ready to win one.
Yeah, it was good. 2-year-old race, Knightsbridge, $5.50 into $3.70. Misses unplaced out of my jurisdiction with 2-year-olds that are unraced.
Who knows? Who cares?
Yes. Race 4. This is an interesting one for the fillies. Yum. It sort of was impressive last night in a fast run race. Didn't know what to do with it, and the market did. That was 6 into $4.80. Miss unplaced. Bit worried about it.
Rugby sticking.
Yep. Race 5, Miravail Rose. Now, this is the one where we just spoke about. Obviously, it goes into the hen house. The race is rated really well. But this was purely speed map, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. Really suited by the race shape as well. But, she's very honest. So the right placement with this stable, she could continue her winning ways.
In the Turnbull, Aeliana, 5 into $3.70. I don't think she's...
leave me out going forward. I just prefer others out of that form race, depending on where she goes. Who knows? Cox Plate, no thanks.
Yeah. War Machine, 480 into 280. Outstanding performance, but now has to go to another level to the Everest, doesn't it?
He'll run well, but I don't see him winning it.
Yeah. And Media World in the last, they loved this horse, $6 into $3.10, and got the job done. And it was coming out of... I suppose it took on horses like Cafe Millennium, which had done some really big numbers, and Cafe Millennium ran right up to that again. And Media World, well, market wanted it, and it was too good.
Yep.
Let's get to the Fox's Den. Nothing out of Flemington from me here, Hutch. It was a big day, and I think everyone talks about it being a day that you've got to be running well, and I get that. But I think they were sort of already identified the horses that we wanted to keep an eye on.
And I think what you said is important as well, just a few moments ago about, we've got the hen house and the dog house. Now, as we get deeper and with this stage of the spring, the hen house is bigger and obviously there's not as many bad races. So we've got one race there with Valley and King, but there wasn't really much else. Yeah. But in terms of horses to follow, I've got a couple from the Valley.
Okay, so Friday night, the Valley. Yeah, now, but can we temper this as well by saying that there seemed to be a bit of an advantage to be on speed inside lanes?
It was a travelator on the fence. Like it was definitely the best spot to be. And these are normally the horses I try and work against the next time. But St Edward won the race. Cacchione's a maiden. It should win a maiden. I think St Edward's its closing sections were good enough to say you could probably win a handy little race if well placed. So that was the only one I'm willing to stick my neck out.
And that was in the first race, I think, in Moonee Valley. Okay, so that's very good. For me, we're going to go right off the beaten track here, Hutch. A horse called Recon was first up off 181 days in a benchmark 70 at Benalla.
Ooh.
It ran 5th. I think it was on Benalla Cup Day. I reckon that's a race we can follow with a bit of confidence. But a horse called Recon, it's only lightly raced. Be with it going forward. We identified in a social media clip a Ballarat maiden on the 19th of September won by Trey Magnifique. Now, the horse that ran second was a grey horse trained by Graham Begg on debut called Ludlam. It is going to be a really nice horse. So just follow it all throughout the prep. Silver Lower won a Swan Hill maiden, and I've got it going as big as I've ever got a provincial race. So be careful because Swan Hill sometimes can play a bit funny with how I rate, but Silver Lower might be able to get under a few people's skirts. And Stung won a Kilmore maiden over 1460. So maybe you get to a mile next start and we'll be with that horse, Stung. So
I felt stung on Sunday.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, very quickly, a very person that you worked with a lot, Warren Huntley. I worked with him a little bit as well. He was an outstanding racing man. You can sign off.
Just condolences to Warren's family, his wife Leanne, etc., and a heartfelt message to him and his family. It's very sad. Obviously, worked a lot with him. So we're thinking of his family at this point in time.
Absolutely. Well said. We'll see you next week, guys. Okay, team. Hutchie out, Ashman in. Obviously, a massive day up at Randwick on Saturday, Nico. 3 Group 1s. Autumn Glow did what you said she would do. It was an outstanding performance, probably a little bit of adversity in terms of I think she's thrown a shoe as well. But let's get to the track intel of how it played. Randwick, true position the entire circuit. Stayed a good 4 all throughout. Intel of where all these winners came from, or where was the best running to be?
Just on the track, I reckon it was on the worst side of a good 4, Jules. It did sort of dry up a bit, but they got into those inner lanes a little bit. And as we got later in the day, the lanes got wider. So 7 of the 10 winners were in lanes 5 and beyond, but the last 5 races were all 5 and beyond. So early in the day, it was okay to be up and in a little bit. Keep in mind we had 2 2-year-old races, and typically in the juveniles, they like to follow the rail, particularly early in the season. We had 2 leaders kick and win. Obviously, one of them was a juvenile, Shiki for Game Adrian. I thought the track played really fair. I thought it was a good track on Saturday. I like the way the ATC prepared it, and I thought most horses got their chance, and tempo and ability dictated the outcome of races.
No doubt. Yeah, I think it raced really well. I don't think there was many horses other than luck in running weren't afforded their opportunity. Just quickly, on those three Group 1s, obviously the Flight, the Metropolitan and the Epsom Handicap. Just quickly, obviously the Metropolitan, the winner, their Royal Supremacy. I mean, I don't think it's nominated for the Cups, and neither was the second horse, Soul of Spain. So they've probably done their job for the prep. There might be some offshoot races for them if they wanted to continue, but they're not going to be going to the big ones in Melbourne. The Flight, Apocalyptic, she was really good. I mean, you'd think that she'd be this is a really slowly run race. I thought it was a great move, Tommy Berry, to sit outside leader and own the race from what he did there. And she's come home pretty good last 400, 200 compared to the rest of the day, which allows her to continue to platform and come down to Melbourne, I would have thought.
Yeah, 100%. A few years ago when I was working on Sectional Stars with you, we had Hungry Heart win the Flight Stakes, and she backed up a week later and was off the map in the 1,000 Guineas, but she was backing up out of a brutal race in Sydney and missed a place completely in the Melbourne version, the 1,000 Guineas. So this is a different scenario. Now, I don't think Apocalyptic has gone to the rating that Hungry Heart has ever in her career thus far, but she hasn't had any opportunities to be fair. She's a horse that we identified going into the preview, in our preview show, going into a first up run. She just keeps on ticking every box. Third fastest last 200 metres of the day. And exactly what you said, because this was not a taxing run, she can go to 1,000 Guineas if that's what they want to do. I think she can be highly competitive there as well.
And she also afforded the opportunity of being a fortnight in between runs, so a little bit different in terms of the change of the program there. Allows her to probably get there, you would think, in one piece. We'll touch on Autumn Glow in the Epsom. She rolled forward. Look, it looked probably under weather at some stage, but as I said, I think she's thrown a shoe at some stage during the race. What would you do with her now, mate? The number's gone big. She's gone big too here for me. I don't know how you'd rated this race, but I've got this race going really well. It's through the roof for me. So she's continuing to be able to just continue to lift the bar. What would you do with her?
I didn't have it going through the roof, so that's interesting. But totally respects what you've got there. I just thought, look, she threw a shoe, lost a plate, whatever you want to call it. So I don't want to be too critical because obviously things didn't go 100% right. She was ridden to win. It was a great ride from Kerry McAvoy, put her in the right spot, similar to Tommy on Apocalyptic. First two round the bend were the first two home. So I think it was good that he didn't go back and take his medicine. Obviously, as we said on the socials on Saturday morning, Magneteer coming out, I think paved the way for him to do that. Smart move from him. Look, for mine, I don't know. I don't think she can win a Cox Plate off this. Obviously, you probably have a different opinion. But I just think she had 54.5. She was nicely weighted in the race. She's beaten Fully Lit by a length and a half. I know she gave it 4.5 kilos. Pericles was, 1.5 lengths off her as well. And she basically met him similar to what she would meet him underweight for age. Now, Pericles isn't going to win a Cox Plate. So I think I'd probably go to Spelling Paddock. I'm throwing this theory out about Autumn Glow that she might be, and you'll probably disagree because you got this race going really well, but she might be more effective, whether it's the mile or whether it's deeper into a preparation. I looked at last spring and she just rated down on my stuff in that third run of the spring. So I'm just going to form a different opinion here to what most people will and say, just wondering if she runs her best races first and second up, but we'll find out.
Yeah, it'd be fascinating to see what they do. It sounds likely, and the market's sort of suggesting she's not going to go to a Cox Plate. Geez, I'd love to see her go to the Cox Plate, the last one at sort of this Moonee Valley track with what you're going to see. Obviously, Hutchie and I spoke about what happened in the Turnbull, and then you've got probably Treasure of the Moment that'll run this week in the Might and Power. And if you were to throw Autumn Glow into the mix, it would just be outstanding. But it sounds like they might freshen and maybe go Empire Rose, and obviously there's that big money race, the Golden Eagle as well for 4-year-olds. So let's see how that plays out. The letterbox, they've all been flying in throughout the week, mate, on certain things. Where did you want to go with the letterbox?
Look, I just want to take a few different comments and people are asking me and roll it into one thing here. I think on Saturday, the most pleasing thing for me, and I was down your way, obviously, at the Osborne with you, we had a $750,000 Group 1 Turnbull Stakes on over 2,000 metres at set weights and penalties. We've got a $2 million Hill Stakes up here this Saturday in Sydney. I think probably the first 5 or 6 horses across the line, and I include Aeliana, Half Yours, all those horses probably would have won the Hill Stakes this Saturday, but instead they went to the Turnbull Stakes for the prestige of winning a Group 1 race. Just a reminder to people out there that you can throw as much money as you want on the table, but a lot of horse owners aren't doing this for cash. They're doing this, yes, they've got to pay bills, so it comes into play to some degree, but they're doing this for the prestige of winning certain races. And it was so good to see that race on Saturday. It was probably one of the best races I've seen all year. Certainly in my opinion, the most defining race all year. We found out that Sir Delius is the real deal. Found out that Via Sistina is probably not going as well. We found out that Aeliana probably can't win a Cox Plate. She might even struggle to win a Caulfield Cup now with Half Yours going so well over the concluding stages. Lots there that unfolded, and cash didn't dictate what happened. It was prestige. Go racing.
Yeah, absolutely love that. Now, Fox's Den, 3 or 4 horses. I think you might have 3 horses from that round week meeting we need to throw into our black book, mate.
Yeah, incognito, Julesy. The boys, I love to compare the Breeders' Plate with the Jim Crack. If you stop the vision at the halfway or at the 600-metre mark, Incognito is conceding about 6 lengths to Shiki, the filly who won the Jim Crack. He's worn her down and gone past her. So it's definitely the better win of the two. And the query for him now is, can he take this rating out to 1,200 metres? If he can, he's the proper deal for a potential golden slipper. There was good mail around for him on Saturday morning, and it lived up to it. Enviable, I just want to put this one into the Fox's Den. She was taken back in the slowly run flight stakes. She ran the best split of the race between, I think, the 400 and the 200. Her last 200 metres wasn't as good. I probably would have loved to have seen a little bit better, but, you know, given that Within the Law, who ran second in that race, produced the best last 200 metres of the day, Apocalyptic ran the third fastest last 200 metres of the race, it was impossible for Enviable to pick them up. So I think she might be one if she comes down to the ethereal and progresses towards the Oaks. I've got no idea if that's what they're going to do, but if she does go that way, she might be the one that can go out to 2,500 metres if Chris and the team decide to go there and do something. And then the last horse I'm putting in is Jimmy Star. Going into the Premier Stakes on Saturday, I knew it was only going to be a moderately sort of even run race. They probably went between 1.5 and 2.5 lengths slower than I anticipated. And I reckon maybe slower than what a lot of other people anticipated. It just gave Brianza the opportunity to really kick at the top of the straight. Jimmy's done everything he can. Best last 600 metres of the day. His last 200 metres was a length and a half faster than Brianza. Just couldn't reel him in. I think in an Everest with Kaying rising up on top of the speed, I think Jimmy can beat Brianza and turn the tables in the Everest. Whether or not it's good enough to win, time will tell. He's that get-back run-on sprinter. They typically don't win more races than they lose. They lose more than they win, but it doesn't change the fact that he's got very good ability. I think in the fast-run race, that's when you'll see the best of Jimmy Star.
Beautiful. Great wrap of the Randwick meeting. Thank you, Nick Ashman. I'll see you Thursday. Bumper preview for Caulfield, and I think we go to Rose Hill as well. See you then, pal.
See you, mate.
What are you really gambling with? For free and confidential support, call the number on the screen or visit the website.